What's up, nerds and nerdettes, and we the nerdlings all? It's your buddy Big John and G from Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming! Yes, indeed, my friends, indeed. So what I got today, I just really wanted to do. It wasn't on any real list. I had mentioned wanting to get back into this not too long ago. I couldn't help myself. I got so excited. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you, my friends, Basic Dungeons & Dragons. The 1981 Tom Mulvey edited edition, which goes from 1st to 3rd level. Basic Dungeons & Dragons. Don't let the name fool you. Although it is basic, it can be quite deadly. So I'm going to show you how to make a character. Now, once you know how to make the character, I guarantee you it's not going to take as long as this video is going to run, because there's not going to be any need for explanation, and you're just going to be able to fly through everything. But I'm going to take you through, step by step, how to make a character. I'm going to make one right here, right now, and you're going to see how it's done. All right, let's get started, because I'm going to have so much fun here. So here we go, my friends. As I said, Basic Dungeons & Dragons Old School Style 1981 Tom Mulvey edition. I have a printout of a character sheet from jasperrantings.wordpress.com. Thank you very much for making this available to everyone, Jasper. You know what? I even have, my friends, gasp, collective gasp. I got these old school style dice. But, well, they're not from this box set. They're actually from TSR's Star Frontiers game. But I'm not going to use them because, well, these are shiza. I will instead be using Wiz Dice. That was a gift from Tommy V. Let's try to keep this in focus. There we go. Alright, so Basic Dungeons & Dragons. Now, this video is actually going to be a little bit longer than character creation normally takes, simply because of all the explanation that's going on. I totally believe that once you watch the video through and you create a character once, maybe twice, after that, you're going to be able to have a character created in minutes. Which is very fitting for this game because a lot of characters don't make it very far. I'm sorry to say. But although it's called Basic Dungeons & Dragons, it is not basic in the sense that it is easy. No sirree, it is not. So we're going to go through how to create a basic character. So the first thing we're going to want to do... Got these dice out. First thing we're going to want to do is roll 3d6. We're going to want to roll 3d6. There we go, my friends. And we are going to record in order. We're going to record in order. Now take a look, because if you're familiar with 3rd edition, well, if you're familiar with 2nd edition, 3rd edition, 4th or beyond, you're going to notice that these are in a different order. Everything is still the same, but they're in a different order. This is the way it was set up in Basic Dungeons & Dragons. So we're doing it in order. I got 2 dice here, so I'm going to be rolling one of them a second time for a 3d6. So starting with strength, 6, 7, 8, and 8. All right, 13. So we're going to record that on the side for the moment. We're going to record that on the side for a moment. And we're going to continue. So next for intelligence. Number 5 and a 1 is a 6. 9 for intelligence. Wisdom, we have an 8. Woo! 14. Not bad. High strength and wisdom. Not bad for a cleric, maybe. You'll see what I mean. 5 and 4 is 9. 10. No, definitely not a cleric of a thieving god. Alright, so 3 and 1 is 4. 6, 10. Average constitution. And finally, charisma. 7. 8. Kind of rough around the edges there. Alright, so this is what we're looking at after rolling our 3d6. We're looking at a 13 strength, 9 intelligence, 14 wisdom, 10 dexterity, 10 constitution, and 8 charisma. Now, what does all this mean? What does all this mean? If you have a copy of the Dungeons and Dragons Basic Handbook, you're going to be going to page B7, because that's where it starts with the descriptions of the abilities and what they mean. So looking here at a 13 strength, anything above 12, it begins to get beyond average. So with a 13 strength score, we're looking at an adjustment to some of his physical abilities. And that would be a +1 for him to hit damage and on his attempts to open doors. You know, trying to bash them open. Strength is in this game is pure muscle power, but it's also the ability to use that power as well. So anyone with a strength score of 13 or higher, there's a couple of classes you're definitely going to want to be looking at: fighter, dwarf, elf, and you know what? For basic game, actually also halfling. Now, the intelligence isn't that great, but it falls within the average of intelligence, 9. So this character will be able to read and write their native language, or languages. We'll get to languages soon enough. And intelligence is the ability to learn and remember things, problem-solving abilities, hands-on kind of thing, hands-on sort of smarts. And if you have a high intelligence, it's usually pretty advantageous if you're going for magic user or elf. Now we have a nice wisdom score here, 14 above average, which will give a bonus on the saves coming up later that we'll be talking about. And wisdom is intuition and inspiration. It's common sense. It's cleverness, and it helps in problem solving when just book learning isn't enough. And it's good to have a high wisdom for clerics especially. Dexterity, we're looking at an average dexterity of 10, so there's not going to be any bonuses or negatives because of that. And dexterity, it's a measure of both your speed as well as your agility and manual dexterity. Manual dexterity. And, you're basically a very handy person. You're good with your fingers, you're good with your hands. In real life, you could probably be a very good stage magician. However, in the world of Dungeons and Dragons, that's very useful for being a thief or a halfling. Now, Constitution is also looking at an average score of Constitution there, so there's not going to be any adjustments to hit points or any negatives adjustment, positive or negative adjustment to hit points. And we'll get to hit points in a little while too, in a moment. Constitution, it's your bodily health, it's your endurance, it's how physically fit you are. And it influences really every class because it's very helpful for hit points, for health. But it's never considered like many of the others in here as a prime requisite for anything. Now, finally, charisma 8. Not the most charismatic fellow, not the most magnetic fellow or lady. There will be a slight negative reaction adjustment. And in Basic Dungeons and Dragons is also the concept of hiring retainers. And a low charisma score will lower your maximum number of retainers, as well as their morale, how emotionally attached they are to you and your problems, as opposed to what's coming at them. So the charisma's not all that great. It is a combination of physical appearance as well as magnetic charm, personality, and leadership abilities. Now, the reason we wrote these over to the side here is because the core rules of the game do allow for what they call ability score adjustments. You're able to lower certain attributes by 2 points in order to raise corresponding other ability scores by 1 point. So looking at this, we have a few ways to go. A couple of ways we want to go here. Now, the reason I say that is because after your abilities are picked, that's when you pick your class. Because classes have restrictions and they have requirements. So the two highest scores we have here are strength and wisdom. So wisdom is good for clerics. It's actually the prime requisite for the clerics. And with a 14, there'll actually be an experience point bonus that can be had when you earn experience in this game. I'm going to use a 6-sided die to determine their hit points each level, and they can wear any kind of armor and shields, but they're forbidden by their rights, by their codes, their religious standings and beliefs, that they're not allowed to use edged weapons like swords or even arrows. They can only use weapons without edges, blunt weapons, slings or maces. They are very good. Starting at second level, they'll start getting divine spells. The first level is basically them proving themselves. But from the start, even at first level, clerics have the ability to ward off the dead. And certain, much higher levels, if you have the expert rules, I believe demonic creatures as well at the highest levels. So with the 14 wisdom, that's really, really good. Now, dwarves also need a high strength. So, and it is 13, which is the minimum score needed in a prime ability in order to gain the experience point bonus. So that will help level this character up just as well as if you go for a cleric with the wisdom. Now, the dwarves use an 8-sided die per level to determine their hit points, but they max out at 12th level. Demi-human classes, the dwarves, the elves, the halflings, they do have maximum levels, unlike the humans, which are the clerics and the fighters, the magic users, and the thieves. Elves now need both strength and intelligence, and the intelligence isn't that great, so it would not be a good pick for an elf, because they need a minimum in 2. They need a minimum in both strength and intelligence. So that's not high enough. Halflings also likewise in strength and dexterity. We don't have that with the dexterity. Magic users, obviously with the intelligence, 9. That's not going to be enough to gain the bonus of experience points, and it's not going to be high enough to affect higher level spells. Thieves, we have a 10 dexterity, not a very good idea for a thief. So we're looking at dwarf, fighter. Oh, I didn't mention fighter. I went right over fighter. Fighter is a strength score of 13 or higher, is going to get you the bonus. D8 So they're using an 8-sided die roll every level to determine their raise in hit points, how many more hit points they get. So we're looking at cleric, dwarf, and fighter are really the three things we want to look at, because they will advance the fastest and therefore have a better chance of living the longest. So now that we know the classes, going back to the ability scores, we can look to see if we want to alter or change anything. And I'm thinking that might not be enough. We lower wisdom by 2. We can raise our strength by 1, but that's not going to affect the adjustments. But if we lower our wisdom by 4... Oh, wait a second, I almost forgot. Constitution and Charisma cannot be raised or lowered. I was thinking about raising the Constitution. So Constitution 10, Charisma 8, that's set in stone. That's not moving. 10 to 12, is that going to make a big difference? No, it's not going to make a difference on dexterity. So I'm not going to do there's not going to be any adjustments being done right here. There's not going to be any. I think the way this is sitting right now, this is the way it'll be. So you record this at a 13, a 9, a 14, 10, 10, and then the 8. The bonuses that you're going to be getting will be noted on the side. So for a strength of 13, there's going to be a +1 to hit bonus, damage, and open door. With a 9 intelligence, there is no adjustment. A 14 wisdom will actually get a +1 on saves. So that's pretty cool. Dexterity of 10, there is no adjustment. Constitution of 10, there is no adjustment. And the charisma of 8 is a -1 reaction. Ooh. With a max number of retainers. Is going to be at... Ooh, it's going to be a 3. And they're going to have a morale of 6. We'll get into morale when we do combat. We'll do a how-to with combat for basic D&D. But you don't have to worry about what that means at the moment, since this is just about the character creation. So we rolled our stats, we learned what these abilities are, and we learned the bonuses, the adjustments that we have, both positive and negative for our character. So this is the bare bones of our character so far. That is the bare bones. So now a class, and I'm thinking fighter. And I'm thinking fighter because I think it's interesting to have a fighter who's a little bit more saving throw savvy. Has a bonus on saving throws. You don't expect that from a fighter, as opposed to a strong cleric. And also, the very first character I ever made in Basic Dungeons and Dragons was a fighter. Fighter. There we go. We are level 1. We can write that in right now. Player's name. All right. I skipped something there. Skipped over something to get that, but that's all right because it all flowed. That's where everything was on the sheet. as I was writing. So now we have our class. We have our class now, fighter. Fighters don't have any special abilities such as like clerics and magic users who can cast spells, or thieves with their thieving abilities. But they don't have any restrictions as far as armor, shields, or weapons go. So that's definitely a bonus. And they do use 8-sided dice for hit points. So that's the 8-sided die. Three, not a very good, not a very good fighter, especially with no constitution adjustment. So that's 3 hit points. 3 hit points right up there. And no, like I said, no special abilities. But now, let me tell you about something up top here. Alignment. This is probably the biggest fight starter I've ever seen in role-playing games that use this system, alignment. So alignments are a way for the player to know how their character acts and reacts. What they're going to do in certain situations are determined by their moral standings, what ethics and codes that they have. And Basic Dungeons and Dragons, the multi edition here, it was broken down in three very, well, pardon the pun, but three very basic alignments. And they were lawful, chaotic, and neutral. Neutrality. So lawful, or law, believed that everything should in the world around them follow order and know the rules and follow the laws of the land, basically. These are the characters that tell the truth, that uphold the law, and make sure everything is running according to plan, and everyone is doing their due diligence. A lawful character is never going to abandon his or her party. A lawful character would be the last to run out on a situation. If the party is fleeing, the lawful characters are the ones that are going to buy everyone else time by trying to slow down the horde of orcs or whatever it is coming at them. Now, on the on the opposite end of the spectrum there, we have the chaotic alignment, the chaos. Just pure chaos, and it is exactly that. Everything that law stands for, chaos spits at. It believes in the self, that nothing happens by accident, nothing has been predicted by fate or destiny, that they are in charge of themselves and everything about themselves, and people that don't think that way are foolhardy, that's for sure. A chaotic character, they're not the most trustworthy characters in the world, that's for sure, because you can never predict their behavior, and if it goes against self, they don't care. Now, the third one, neutrality, to be a neutral character, they do try to find the balance, but they're not stupid, and they don't necessarily put themselves in direct harm's way like a lawful character would. They are literally the gray area between the lawful and the chaotic character. They're interested in personal survival, and they believe in using their own skill and wits, but they don't necessarily think there's no such thing as luck, that's for sure. And they would stand their ground and protect their friends until maybe they thought it wasn't an action that will keep them alive for much longer. So they fall somewhere in between. Well, the chaotic character right from the beginning would probably say, nope, you guys handle this. The neutral character would at least stand for a while and try. or the lawful character will none shall pass, that kind of attitude. Now, each alignment also has its own alignment language. Alignment languages are based on slang and body language, hand gestures. The one thing that I always thought was odd and inconsistent in these early games and when they had alignment language was if you change alignments, which isn't very easy to do, and you really have to have a good reason, maybe something in the story that happened recently, and then convince your DM. But if you change alignments, like if you were lawful and you change to neutral, you forget the lawful alignment language. I always thought that was a little weird. I always thought that was a little strange. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna write lawful. There we go. So this is a lawful first level fighter. We know that much so far, with a strength of 13, intelligence of 9, wisdom of 14, dexterity of 10, constitution of 10, and charisma of 8. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to check out our saving throws. Saving throws are very important in the game because they do help you take no damage, or at least less damage, from certain things as poison and death ray, magic wand, turning to stone or paralysis, and dragon's breath, spells and magic staffs. Because normally these things are automatic hits, and your saving throw is your dexterity, your constitution, your willpower, sort of fighting against it and saving you. That's for sure. So we know that this is a fighter. So now if you get the expert game after 3rd level, the saving throws improve. But for the first 3 levels, they are fairly static, unless you have a bonus, such as a wisdom bonus, like this fighter does for us. So 12 for a first level fighter, 12 poison or death ray, 13 for magic wand, 14 for turn to stone or paralysis, 15 for dragon breath, and 16 for spells or magic staff. And in the game, this represents the number that you need to roll or higher. So if you rolled a 20-sided die, saving throw versus magic wand, that's a 5. There's a +1 for this fighter, 6. That is not enough. The effects of the magic wand would take effect. That is a 20. 20 with a 1 + 1 would be enough to save versus anything here. Like I said, though, some saves don't erase all the damage. Some saves just half the damage, or somehow mitigate it down for some reason. Okay, so now we have a little bit of a fun part coming up, and that's equipping the character. And in order to equip the character, you're going to have some cold, hard coin. And you're going to roll 3d6. Add it together. 4, 5, 6. And 6 is 12. You're going to take that number, in this case it's a 12, and you're going to multiply it by 10. And that is 120 gold. For the moment, we're going to mark that over here. On the back of the sheet, there's more space, and there is a space for money and stuff. But for right now, we're going to mark that right here, because we're going to be going through this like right now for stuff. So we know we have a fighter, and we have 120 gold. We can spend half of that and get plate armor right up front, and that's what I'm definitely going to be doing. Plate armor. Now with a shield, that's another 10. So that's 50 left. So we got 50 gold left. Two-handed sword. No, we don't want a two-handed sword because we have a shield. So we're just going to take a sword. And that sword is 10, bringing us down to 40. Bringing us down to 40. 40 we can get a short bow. And a quiver with 20 arrows. For another 5, that's 30. So why don't we do a short bow? And 20 arrows. That leaves 10. That leaves 10. You know what? We're going to get some rations. We get some standard rations, unpreserved food for one person for 1 week for 5. Get some rations. Only 5 gold pieces left for a backpack. Because he needs to go adventuring and get some money, so he's going to need a backpack to carry stuff in. So there is a back of the sheet, and we can record all that later. Right? We can record that all later. But the most important thing is we know we have plate armor and a shield. And that's important because now we know we have an armor class of 2. We have an armor class of 2. The lower the armor class in the old system, the lower the armor class, the better the armor class. That's for sure. And looking at a 2 armor class right now for a first level basic character, that is amazing. That is phenomenal. That is great. It's gonna be the monster's gonna have a very hard time hitting him or her. I haven't decided who it is yet, which is very good that they are gonna have a hard time hitting this fighter because the fighter only has 3 hit points. Only has the 3 hit points. Now, if you notice on the bottom, almost on the bottom of the sheet down here, is something called 2 hit roll needed. 2 hit roll needed. So the game has a list now, and when you get the expert, when you advance past 3rd level and you go into the expert, again, things focus down a little bit more. But what you're looking at here is, so for a first level fighter to hit an armor class of 9 is going to need to roll a 10. You're going to need to roll a 10 or better to hit that person, that monster. Actually, in this game, everything is referred to as a monster in this game. Whether it's an evil soldier, whether it's a town guard you're trying to pick the pocket of, or whether it's a minotaur. They're all monsters in this game. So armor class 9 is a 10. So from here you're going 1 point up each. So that'd be 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and an armor class of 0 would be a 19. If I was trying to hit myself, I would need a 17 or better. Actually, I would get a +1 because of the 13 strength, but the base would be 17 or better. So that's kind of how tough it is for the monsters to hit you. And finally, you have to experience. So we all have 0 experience. That's also on the back. It's also on the back of the sheet over here. You can record it back here. Here we go, experience points. So it'll be a 0 right now. And then you would record how much experience that you need in order to get to the next level, because they're all different. The early, the basic, and the first edition, and even the second edition, if I remember correctly, there was a separate experience leveling chart for each class. So we have a fighter, so the next one would be 2,000. So 2,000. When we get 2,000 experience points, we will get to second level. Now we have a 10% bonus. Is it 10%? Let me double check that. I don't want to be wrong to my friends. $10 bonus. So whatever experience I earn is 10% higher than what I earn, than what I get, because of my exceptional ability. And finally, we're going to need to name the fighter. We're going to need to name this fighter. I honestly do not remember the name of my first fighter that I had. I remember very few of my characters' names, actually. Let's see. We will name him Kura. Kura, no last name. He comes from a small tribe. Actually, in Basic, it's best not to get too deep into your first level character's background, because they may not make it. Yeah, this game can be a little deadly. In fact, my friends, I would suggest that, especially if this is your very first game of Basic, I would suggest that you have at least 3 characters made in advance. Whether they're on sheets or, sometimes I just use index cards because I don't need to record so much information. And I use that for the NPCs also. It comes in very handy, very small, nice, easy to have, yet large enough to read easy. So we have Kura the fighter, first level, lawful, 2 armor class, 3 hit points, wearing plate mail and a shield. He has a sword, and he has a short bow of 20 arrows. He has a backpack, and he has 1 week's rations. Strength of 13, intelligence of 9, wisdom of 14, dexterity of 10, constitution of 10, charisma of 8. The strength gives him a +1 bonus to hit and damage, as well as his attempt to open doors. He gets a bonus because of his high wisdom score, +1 on all his saves. Now that is not recorded in here. Old school, we just had to remember that. It really kind of got us good at remembering things that are important to us, because you would be very lucky if your DM would retcon things so often for you. Once or twice maybe, but after that, it's on you now. So that 12, I got a +1, so I really need to roll an 11. I really need to roll a 12. I really need to roll a 13, a 14, and a 15 to make those saves. And as far as the combat goes, I know that in armor class 9, I need a 10 to hit. And each lower armor class after that, it goes up 1. So an 11 for 8, a 12 for 7, a 13 for 6, and so on and so on. And there you have your basic character made for you from scratch right there. Kura the fighter, first level, lawful. Bam, there you go, my friends. This is a fun game. This is an easy game to play. It's not an easy game as far as always surviving. You have to be smart. You have to make some smart decisions. You have to think your way through things in this game, but it is fun, and once you know how to do that, it is easy. It really is. And character creation, if you take away all the explanation I did, let's say because you've already watched the video, you've read the book, you know what you're doing, you take away all the explanation, this took a couple of minutes. It literally took a couple of minutes to make, and that's all it is. We're just rolling some dice and looking up on a couple of charts, because basic Dungeons and Dragons, more than advanced first edition, but advanced as well, but basically it's all about so many charts. It's about charts for everything. Charts for treasure types, is charts for attacks, for defense, for saves. So you just have to know how to look those charts up. Very easy, very simple. All right, my friends. I hope you play basic Dungeons and Dragons. I hope you give it a shot. You definitely should. And there's how to make your basic character. And we will do another video teaching further about the game, such as I imagine the next one will be combat. All right, my friends. Thank you for checking us out on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and of course, as always, thank you so much. Thank you for subscribing to us on YouTube, for liking, for sharing, for being our buddies here, for checking us out. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm your buddy, Big Johnny G. Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming, and my friends, I am out of here.